David Davis.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Before I speak to my own new clause, I'll just address one or two of the things that the opposition spokesman just raised. By not accepting his referral back motion, we have in effect delegated large parts of the work on this important bill to the House of Lords. And I'll say this directly to the whip on the bench, that when it comes back in ping-pong, I recommend the office makes considerable allowance for time back here to debate the changes that they undertake. This House, at the end of the day, is responsible to our constituents, and these issues will impact directly on our constituents, and therefore we ought to have a strong say over what is done with respect to this bill. The new clause 43 in my name is entitled "The Right to Use Non-Digital Verification Services." The digitisation has had tremendous benefits for society. Administrative tasks that once took weeks or even years can now be done in seconds thanks to technology. But that technology has come with considerable risks as well as problems of access. The internet in many ways is an equaliser. I can do the same things in East Yorkshire as we can do from here in terms of access to websites and services. You can send and receive money, contact friends and family, organise families, do work, all sorts of things which we couldn't once do. But the reality is more nuanced. Some people lack the technological literacy or simply the hardware to get online and make the most of what's out there. Think elderly people, the homeless, those living on the breadline. As with many things, these groups risk being left behind by the onward march of technology through no fault of their own. And indeed, some people do not want to fully go online. Many people are perfectly au fait with the latest gadgets, are nonetheless deeply concerned about the security of their data. And who can blame them? My bank account has been accessed from Israel in the past. My online emails have been broken into when during some political battles of one sort or another. These things are risky. Now, nobody, I hope, in this chamber will have forgotten the Edward Snowden revelations about the NSA and GCHQ, which revealed a vast network of covert surveillance and data gathered by government agencies from ordinary online activity and the sharing of private information without consent. More recently, we've heard of how government agencies have monitored people's social media posts during the pandemic. And data trading by private companies is an enormous industry, an absolutely enormous and lucrative industry. And what's more, as time passes and the rise of artificial intelligence takes hold, the ability to make use of central databases is becoming formidable. I mean, just beyond imagination. So people are quite properly cautious about what data they share and how they share it. Now, for some people, and this is where the issue is directly relevant in this bill, that caution will mean avoiding the use of digital identity verification. And for others, that digital verification is simply accessible. So we have two problems that the bill creates by its underlying assumptions. Now, this is a serious problem. Already it's become extremely difficult to live anything approaching a normal life if you're not fully wired into the online network. If you cannot even verify who you are without that access, what are you supposed to do? Which is why I want to create the right for offline verification, for in effect offline identification. We saw earlier this year what can happen when someone is excluded from basic services. The planned closure of Nigel Farage's bank account, though not related to identification, made it clear how much of an impact such exclusion can have on someone's life. Those who cannot or do not wish to verify their identity digitally could end up in the same position as Farage and many others for that matter, who've seen their access to banking restricted for unfair reasons. The rise of online banking, though a great convenience for many, must not mean certain others being left out. These are fairly fundamental rights we're talking about here. Those people who, by inclination or otherwise, find it preferable or easier to stick to old-fashioned ways must not be excluded from society. My amendment proposes to require all services requiring identity verification to offer a non-digital alternative. This will ensure that everyone, regardless of who they are, will have the same access. That non-digital alternative could take a number of forms. It could simply mean working with the post office to allow people to verify their identity in person. Or it could mean having people post in copies of their existing identity documents, passports, driving licenses and the like. The specific route is not the most important thing. What matters is that people have a choice and are not coerced into providing their data through digital means for whatever reason, whether it's concern about their privacy or other reasons. Now, some may worry what this means for digital-only services, such as some of the so-called challenger banks. But there's nothing to stop such services providing or remaining online and simply outsourcing to a non-digital alternative for verification to a trusted third party with physical capacity. It's only right that they, like everyone else, offer services to everyone regardless of how they want to prove who they are. And it may well be, in fact I think it's quite likely, that a series of organisations like solicitors, banks and other institutions may well go into the business of providing physical verification rather than online verification. 20 years ago, in the face of opposition in this place and opposition in the country at large, the Blair government abandoned identity cards. The reason that they were opposed, identity cards were opposed, was because of the central control of a single piece of data about individuals. It wasn't about the card, it was about the central control of data. And that problem still applies today. People should still worry about that today. This bill marks another step in the rapidly advancing new world of technology. It's crucial we get this right now. If we make presumptions in this, that lead people to have to depend on online identification, then we will create problems down the road that we have not foreseen. So I will say to the Minister on the bench, I'll not press this to a vote this time, but I do hope the government will look at this properly, of creating this right in the bill's passage through the Lords, because it seems to me a perfectly sensible and intelligent thing for the government to undertake. Now, the last point I want to make relates to the issues that the DWP minister raised. He raised them with me, to be fair to him, before they came to the House, and I agree with him. Something like what he's proposing is necessary, but it does have to be severely constrained, really, really severely constrained. There are already commercial methods for doing some of the things he wants to do, which are less intrusive than what the government has proposed. So again, I do hope that we can talk to him in the interim between this bill clearing this House and going to the Lords, and I'm sure the opposition has got the same aims in this, frankly, to get an outcome which is fair to ordinary people, but which protects the taxpayer from the massive frauds that he is trying to stop.